The spark of divinity. You know, it's not just a concept. It's real, it has been measured, and it has been recorded. As sparks of divinity, we are the God of our own reality. Ever ask yourself why you always talk to yourself? We all do. And it's though that you're having a conversation with two different people. So you almost have to stop and ask yourself, well then, what's going on here? Why is that? Why do we have this uniqueness about ourselves? And as well with the spark, as I said, it can be measured. And it has been measured to 20 watts. Now, I bring this out because when it begins to really sink in, it's an amazing thing. It truly is. What you and I are. And to think what 20 watts can do. Light a light bulb, right? Not bad. Never get lost in the dark again, right? Hey, now I remember one of these, but it's enough to power a guitar amp. How about that? What did Dr. Kaku say here? He said the most complex object in the known universe is the brain, and it only uses 20 watts of power. It would require a nuclear power plant to energize a computer the size of a city block to mimic our brains. And our brain does it with just 20 watts. So, if you think about this, the fact that 20 watts, now, how we do it, no one knows. Science doesn't know. Medical science doesn't know. It's a mystery. And what philosophers have come to understand is that it really is that spark of the divine. We're beginning to realize how amazing and powerful this spark truly is. Throughout all of my videos, and it will continue to be represented in the videos that are yet to be produced, is the fact that when I began to understand that what we lack in teaching the next generation coming up, and it just repeats itself every generation, is that it takes us, most of us, a lifetime to begin to figure out that there is something amazing about us. And it's something that religion can't define. Philosophers, I think, probably come the closest. And now, science is realizing this. I do believe that we are on the precipice of a great awakening. I had one of the subscribers email me, and their comment was very well taken. You know, when you think about, for instance, the ages. Now, we do enter into ages, the dark ages, right? The golden age, the time when humanity was achieved levels of enlightenment that it's taken nearly 4,000 years to erase. But we have finally figured it out. And this video is about that. Carl Jung said this about the creative aspect of us, because that divine spark of divinity, right? It's what makes us unique. Because we create. We create when there's absolutely nothing around us. We can create. Our minds, the depth of the soul. And Carl wrote, he said, there is rarely a creative man who does not have to pay a high price for the divine spark of his great gifts. Folks, you all have great gifts. It's part of the divine spark. the human element is frequently bled for the benefit of the creative element. Think about that. I've come to the conclusion that our species has been deceived. Now, this goes outside the realm, I guess, of what you could say would be science. However, I think science would find validation that if you can identify an energy source and if it has traits and elements of a sentient awareness, consciousness, being, right, then you could probably say that it would be classified into potentially a living entity. But I believe for our case, our species has been deceived. I'm convinced of that because we possess this divine spark. Now, as I continue, again, on this path of life, and what a joy, I figured out that really what this is about, it's about you and how you embrace the experience of the journey. And along that path, we should be learning. We should be gaining. We should not be held back. So I believe that there are species that may be higher intelligence than us, but they do not possess the spark of divinity. And they desperately want it. And it very well could be that that's where the regression of our species. You know, we should be so much more further advanced. Just if you look on a linear scale and look how mankind has advanced over the millennia. We should be so much further ahead. And the question is, why aren't we? Well, I believe I found this. So this is the Michelangelo painting, right? And I really do believe that as I have looked at this and meditated on it more and more, I believe Michelangelo was actually trying to communicate something to us about the transference of this divine spark. But here is the problem. Our species has an earwig. And I believe it was deliberately planted into our consciousness. Now you may ask yourself, what is an earwig? Check it out. Right? How would you like that crawling into your ear? Happens. There it is, folks. Now, this may be more than what you think. There's a lot more to this. Recently, I just did a video talking about an organism. Could a sentient organism be as large as the universe? And that's what we call the source or God. And could life forms take on other life forms that would particularly be, how should we say, detrimental to our species? Are you seeing the metaphor here? And I believe that that earwig is this crazy concept of somehow original sin. And when you really look and analyze the story, so really what you get down to the bottom line of it. So what was the thing here? So no knowledge is better than what? An ignorant species? I mean, you got to ask yourself, folks, it's time that we grow up as a species and we take self-responsibility. You know, we don't know where all of this started. Those records have been erased. Don't know why. I can tell you they have been. Now, as nature will be, as Einstein said, and the unpredictability factor, we're getting clues and glimpses because we're getting smarter and we can dig deeper and we can begin to brush away the millennia. But really, when you think about this and you think about this whole concept as that our species is somehow a doomed species because we're somehow contaminated, right, with this sin concept. So the alternative would be what? Never had him ever explain that one. Here you go. Now this is the philosopher's point of view. All religions are equally sublime to the ignorant, useful to the politician, and ridiculous to the philosopher. Remember, it's the earwig, folks. Don't get all bent out of shape and wrapped around the axle with your theology and what your core is. I get it. Been there, done that. But you don't need religion to have morals. If you can't determine right from wrong, then what you lack is empathy, not religion. That's the problem. The divine spark, that light within us. If we ever figured it out as a species, oh God. But our species has a big problem, and we can't solve this problem. We can't. My God, we have gone through so many different reiterations. You want to talk about religion, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about empires. All have failed us. And until we get real serious and stop playing games with ourselves and our species, there may not be any solution. And I'll tell you why. From birth, we are conditioned to hate ourselves. By adulthood, we all know how to hate ourselves, particularly. Oh, we are so good. Listen, by the time a child begins to have that causative thought, right? They know how to hate themselves. We teach our children how to do the self-talk of doubt, the self-talk of hate. And it starts with we watch our parents. All parents hate themselves. I mean, it's this, you can't say that your parents are not exempt from this. It's in us. How do you think, to say that, oh, well, my childhood was raised in Leave It to Beaver's house. Well, even the Cleavers had problems. So stop hating yourself, because that's what we teach for everything you are. And start loving yourself for everything that you are. You're an amazing, amazing entity. Now, I've heard this. I've heard people say, well, how am I supposed to be myself when I don't even know who I am anymore? That's the problem. When that circuit gets disconnected, it all starts to fraying. Get what I'm saying, folks? If you don't love yourself, you're always going to be chasing after people who don't love you either. Mandy Hale. Think about this, folks. It's small steps that get us to our destinations. If we don't learn to start loving ourselves as individuals and as a species, there may not be any hope. And I think what sometimes we get so messed up on is, well, what is love? Well, I can't define that for you. That's one that you'll have to, it has to be within your core. And it's not selfish to love yourself. I mean, seriously, if you don't know how to ride a bike, then how can you tell someone else how to ride a bike? Right? And it's not about being selfish. Now, selfish takes on the term of self-preservation. Now, we all have that in abundance. It's just that we haven't figured out how to rid ourselves of that eternal fear. And I just want to reiterate what nemesis means. Come on. I love this. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. Yeah. I honor the place in you which is of love, of truth, of light, and of peace. When you are in that place in you, and I'm in that place in me, we are one. You know, it's the tapestry. It's that thread. So this is what it's going to take. New mindsets, demands, and will give new results. If you talk about this and you look at what the definition of insanity is for our species, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. The only thing a jury would come back and give the verdict as our species is insane. There is an awakening within our species. I'm just a part of it. So are you. It's going to change this. Ladies and gentlemen, the divine spark never ends. It never does. This is you. This is all of us. And it's eternal. The problem has been is the fact that it is in you. Most don't know how it works. And so we have religious dogma. We have intellectual bigotry that comes in and rejects it. And then, as it continues to be passed down, the true knowledge has been lost and replaced with a pseudo-knowledge that now turns the table. I mean, the guy that built the garden may not be really the good guy, right? And the story may not exactly be the right story, right? I mean, isn't it quoted that says, if they ever come into unity of thought and purpose, there is nothing that will be impossible to them. So when you look into that mirror of your soul, what do you see? And we have to ask the same question of ourselves as a species. Powerful thinking results in powerful results. And powerful, there is so much strength in you and me. It's powerful, folks. We are literally a breath away from the victory. And that breath away is a thought. A single thought for 60 seconds. It's the first step. A single thought can change our future. Please join me in this cause. Let it be your life mission, as I have made it mine. Let us leave a legacy to the future generations that could begin to build on something other than religion, other than politics, other than intellectual dogma. Let's join the divine spark that's been put in all of us and unite that divine spark, and let's see what happens. All right, folks, be kind to one another.